Welcome everyone. In this video, we're going to go over how to use Resource Scheduler. Resource Scheduler is an easy-to-use, cloud-based scheduling solution. Using Resource Scheduler, you can instantly review and reserve rooms and locations around campus. As a cloud-based solution, you can access Resource Scheduler from any location with internet access. Rooms and locations can be reserved in just a few short steps using Resource Scheduler's easy-to-use interface. You can then manage and view your reservations at any time within Resource Scheduler. Now, let's jump into how to access and use Resource Scheduler. To access Resource Scheduler, open up any browser and go to ACElink. So in the URL, we're going to type in acelink.evansville.edu. Fill in your network credentials and click Login. Once you are logged into ACElink, click Resource Requests. You will then be taken to the page for Resource Scheduler. This page will contain additional information about Resource Scheduler. What we'll want to do next is scroll to the bottom of the page and click the link, Click to access Resource Scheduler now. You will then be taken to the Resource Scheduler login screen. Your login will be your AceNet username, so this will be the first portion of your email address. The password will be purple with a capital P followed by the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. Once you have filled in your login and password, click Login. Once you log in, you will be taken to the home page. The first thing that you'll want to do when you log in is change your password. To change your password, click your name listed in the upper right-hand corner. You will then be taken to the General Options page. In the password field, delete the current password that is listed and type in the new password of your choice. Once you have done so, click Submit. Now that we've changed our password, let's take a moment and get familiar with the different areas in Resource Scheduler. The black bar, which spans across the top of the screen, is known as the header. We've already accessed one item from the header, which was our personal settings. Within the header, we can also access the Help file. If we click the Help link, that will open up Resource Scheduler's Help. The area found below the header is known as the menu. The menu provides a list of links to several scheduling options and navigation options. The menu appears on every page in Resource Scheduler and is your main method for navigation. The home page also displays 4 blocks in the center of your screen. Within these blocks, you will find helpful links which will allow you to more easily use and navigate Resource Scheduler. We'll cover these in more detail later on in the session. On the left, you will see the navigation tree. Every Resource Scheduler page displays the navigation tree on the left side. The navigation tree shows all locations, groups, and resources that we have configured in our system. Now that we are familiar with the setup of Resource Scheduler, let's learn about how to reserve and view resources on campus. There are multiple ways that you can view or reserve a resource on campus, but let's start with the navigation tree. The navigation tree is a great option as it displays all resources on campus in an easy-to-view format. This is a great method to use if you know the resource or the building that you want to reserve. Using the navigation tree, we can drill into each building and group to view the specific resources. To do so, click the plus icon listed to the left of the building name. Let's go ahead and drill into SOBA. So to do so, click on the plus icon listed to the left. From here, you can see it is then broken down by floors. To further drill into each floor, click on the plus icon listed to the left. From here, you will see the specific resources that are found within that floor or that group. There are a couple different views that we can use in the navigation tree. For example, if we select the group name, so in this case, first floor, Resource Scheduler will display all of the resources found in that floor in an easy-to-view grid-like format. This is a great option if you want to compare the different resources found in a particular floor or group. You may need to scroll to the right and then using the scroll bar, scroll down to see all of the resources for the particular floor. If you don't need to see all of the resources on a floor, you can just select the specific resource. So using the navigation tree, all you need to do is click onto the name of the resource that you wish to view. Resource Scheduler will then display just the information for that particular resource. If you wish to change the date or the date range in which you are viewing, we can do so using a couple of different options. Right now, we are viewing the week view for this particular resource. If you would like to see just the date view, go ahead and click Day. And then this will show you the availability just for the specific day. And then if you would like to view the month view, go ahead and select the Month tab. Let's go ahead and go back to the week view. I'm going to click the Week tab. Right now, we are looking at the week view for the week of February 15th. If we would like to see a week in the future, we can use the arrow to the right of week. And this will display the availability for next week for this particular resource. If we wish to go back, we can go ahead and use the back arrow. This is a convenient method if you need to view a day or a week that is close to the current day or week. However, you can also use the calendar feature on the left to jump to another day. To do so, click on the down arrow listed next to the date. A calendar will then display. From here, you can select the desired date that you wish to view. If you need to locate a date in another month, use the arrows listed to the left and right. So for example, I'm going to choose the single arrow icon in order to go to March of 2015. From here, I can then click the specific date in which I want to view. Once I do so, Resource Scheduler will then update and display the information for that specific date. In order to see the current date or date range you are viewing, you can scroll over to the right, and in the upper right corner, it will display the day or date range in which you are viewing. So in this case, we can see we are viewing March 25th, which is Wednesday, week 13. You can then scroll back over to the left, and I'm going to collapse the calendar icon by using the up arrow listed next to the date. I'm going to go ahead and click back on the Week tab to view the week. You can then easily view information for another resource by simply toggling back and forth by clicking on the name of that resource. So let's say that we want to view room 162. All we need to do is select 162, and then as you noticed, Resource Scheduler will update to display the information for the room that we just clicked on. The same is true for toggling between different buildings. To do so, click on the plus icon listed next to the building in which you would like to view. So I'm going to go ahead and click the plus icon listed next to Hyde Hall. I can then see that there are additional groupings listed. From here, I can go ahead and click on the plus icon listed next to the grouping, so in this case, the first floor. And then I just need to select the particular resource that I wish to view. Resource Scheduler will then update, and you can see the information in regards to that particular resource. If you are done viewing information for a particular building or group, you can click on the minus icon to collapse that group. So I'm going to go ahead and collapse Hyde Hall. Let's go ahead and let's go back into SOBA. So I'm going to click on the plus icon listed next to SOBA, and then I'm going to click on the plus icon listed next to first floor. Before we begin to make a reservation, it's important to understand the rooms that need approval and the rooms that do not need approval. Within Resource Scheduler, there are several rooms which do not require approval. What this means is that you can log into Resource Scheduler and book a reservation, and it will be reserved immediately. There are also a couple of rooms within Resource Scheduler which do require additional approval. These rooms all will have an asterisk listed to the right of the name. So we can see that the Mid-Soats Conference Room has an asterisk listed to the right. That means that that room does require additional approval. We can then see that there are other rooms underneath the first floor that do not require approval since there is no asterisk listed next to the right. You can also click on the name of that particular resource, And then once you are viewing that resource, you can select the name by hovering over it, and this will display additional information. On this screen, you will see a field that says reservations require approval, and if yes is listed, that also means that that room does require approval. For rooms that require approval, when you submit your request, that request will be sent to the designated approver of that resource, who will then either approve or deny that request. You will receive an email confirmation either if the reservation was approved or if it was denied. Now that we know how to use the navigation tree, let's go ahead and make a reservation. I'm going to go ahead and collapse SOBA, and I'm going to navigate to the building and the room that I want to make a reservation for. So let's say that we want to make a reservation for a conference room in the library. I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus icon listed next to University Libraries, and then I'm going to click on the plus icon listed next to second floor. Let's make a reservation for the Henry Schroeder boardroom. So to do so, I'm going to click on the Henry Schroeder boardroom. Before you create your reservation, you may want to review additional details about the room or resource that you're intending to reserve. To do so, hover your mouse over the name of the room or resource, and then additional information will appear. For example, you can see the capacity of the room. You can also verify that if the rooms require approval or not. And then underneath the options, you can see additional information about the room. So in this case, I know that room 203, the Schroeder boardroom, has a projector, but it does not have a computer. This can be very helpful information when you're making your reservation. We then want to make sure that we're looking at the right date or date range that we want to make the reservation for. Right now, we are viewing the week of March 25th. So let's say that we want to make a reservation for Wednesday, March 25th at 9 a.m. We can see that there is no reservation already scheduled for March 25th at 9 a.m. So what we can do now is go ahead and just click in the open area listed next to the particular time and date that we want to reserve. The Quick Reserve menu will then appear. The first thing we need to do is enter in a reservation title. Enter a short, meaningful description in the title field. You will then want to enter in the number of attendees for your particular event. And then under meeting type, you're going to want to select the type of reservation that you are making. If you click the drop-down arrow, you will see there are multiple options to choose from. Choose the one that best matches what this reservation will be for. I'm going to leave it as meetings. Underneath the resource field, you will see the resource in which you have selected to make a reservation for. Underneath the start date and start time field, you will see the date and the time in which you have selected. If you need to change the time or the date from this screen, you could do so. For example, click on the down arrow listed next to the start time, and you could easily choose a new time if needed. You can also change the end date and end time if needed as well. You will then see the requested for field. The requested for field is used if you are making a request on behalf of someone. So let's say that you are making a reservation for another member in your department. You can use the requested for field to enter in their name. They will then receive the confirmation email for the request once you have finished reserving it. The requested for field uses Smart Text Lookup and is tied to the global address book. This means that once you start typing in 3 or more characters in the requested for field, possible matches will appear. As you can see, once I've typed in 3 or more characters, potential matches have occurred. If you see the person in which you are making the reservation for, go ahead and click their name. If you do not see their name yet, continue typing their name to have additional matches appear. Once you have then typed in their name and you see the match, go ahead and select their name. The requested for field is tied to the global address book, so it's important to type in the name of the person exactly as it's listed in the global address book. For example, if you're making the request on behalf of somebody with the name of Katie, but their full name is Catherine, it's important that you type in Catherine into the requested for field in order for the correct match to appear. When ready, we will want to go ahead and click Next to move on to the next screen. We will then be taken to the reservation details screen. This will open up in a pop-up window, so it's important to ensure that your browser is not blocking pop-up. To view specific steps on how to set your browser to allow pop-ups from Resource Scheduler, go to acelink.evansville.edu and click Resource Requests. From that screen, you'll be able to locate a document which will take you step by step through how to enable pop-ups. On the reservation details screen, you will see several additional pieces of information. Let's go ahead and talk through some of the items that we have not yet covered. On the left side, you will see the To field. If you have additional attendees coming to your event and you wish to add them to the event, you can do so by clicking on To. One of the benefits of doing so is that those attendees will automatically receive the email confirmation for this request. And also, if at any time you make a change to the request or cancel the request, the attendees will receive that automatic email confirmation as well. The University of Evansville Global Address Book has been imported in to Resource Scheduler. This makes it easy to locate and add attendees to your event. We will want to click Address Books. Another window will appear which will contain all of the names from the Global Address Book. So in order to find the person in which you want to add to this event, type their name into the value field. Once you have done so, click Show Users. And then when you have located the account that you wish to add, click the arrow icon listed to the left of their name. This will then add them to the reservation. If you have additional users to add to your event, proceed by filling in their name in the value field. You do not need to type in the user's full name to search for them. We can search by the user's last name. So once I type in the last name, I'm going to click Show Users. From here, we can click the arrow listed to the left on the specified user that we wish to add. Once we have added all the users to our event, go ahead and click on the X to close out the window. If you have an attendee who is not in the UE Global Address Book, we can manually type in their information to add them to this event. In the name field, I'm going to type in the name of the user, and then I want to be sure to type in the email address for the user as well. If you know their company and phone, you're welcome to include that as well. Once I have added all my attendees, I'm going to proceed by clicking the Submit button. You will then be taken back to the reservation details screen where you can see the attendees now listed in the To field. If there's additional information that you would like to include about this reservation, go ahead and type it into the reservation description text box. You will then see the On Behalf of screen in the lower left corner. As we previously learned, this is used if you're making the reservation on behalf of somebody. If you did not specify somebody in the On Behalf of field when you initially made the reservation, you can edit this at any time by clicking on the Details icon. Another window will then appear, which you can fill in the information or change the information in the requested for fields. I'm going to go ahead and choose Return because I want to keep it set as is. On the reservation details screen, we will also see the time information. This will just list the time and the date of the particular event. To set a recurring reservation, click the box next to Repeat. This will then open up the recurring window, which will allow you to specify if you would like your recurring reservation to occur daily, weekly, monthly, or ad hoc. If you choose the ad hoc method, that will allow you to put in specific dates and create your own unique recurring schedule. Recurring requests can be set to recur for up to 6 months in the future. So once you specify the type of recurring schedule you wish to choose, it's important that you also choose the end date for that recurring option. So for example, let's say that we are going to specify that we want a weekly recurring request. We will click the bubble next to weekly, and then in the Until date box, we want to specify the date in which we want the recurring reservation to stop. We can specify that we want it to stop in any time from now until 6 months in the future. Once you have made your desired selections, go ahead and click Submit. I'm going to choose Return as I would like to keep this as a one-time request. And we are then taken back to the reservation details screen. The next block that you will see is the Options block located in the middle of the screen. The Options block contains fields in which you should never use. It is important that you do not use these fields as they are not intended for your use. The box below, the reservation history, will provide information on when the reservation was created, who created it, as well as when it was updated. The Resources and Services section on the right contains several pieces of important information. First, it will list the specific resource in which this reservation is being made for, so we can see that 203 Henry Shorter Boardroom is listed as the resource. Above the resource, you will see a Select tab. If you click on the drop-down arrow next to Select, you will see two options. The first option is Audio-Visual. If you need to reserve additional audio-visual needs for your request, you will want to proceed by clicking on Audio-Visual. Another window will appear which contains a text box allowing you to specify any additional audiovisual needs for your event. If there are any needs that you need for your particular resource or room that you are booking, please specify them here. This information will then be set to the appropriate team. Once you have filled in any additional details, proceed by clicking Submit. If you do not have any additional audio or visual requests, go ahead and click Return. If we click back on the drop-down arrow next to Select, we will see the next option is Resource Setup Needs. If we select this option, we will then be taken to another screen. If there are any special setup needs for your reservation, please list them here. Special setup needs are anything that is additional or customized about the room or location beyond the standard features. This may include things such as tables, chairs, and trash cans, for example. Please be sure to specify those details in the Special Setup Need text box. Once you've done so, click Submit. This will also send an email to the appropriate party. If you do not have any special setup needs, go ahead and click Return. It is important that you use the Audiovisual and Resource Setup Needs fields for your event if they are needed. This will ensure that the appropriate party is notified of those details. Now let's talk about the other buttons listed on this screen. Over to the left, you will see the Delete button. If you wish to delete your reservation at any time, click Delete. You will also see a Copy button. This is a very helpful feature if you will be making a reservation which is very similar to this reservation. This is a helpful feature if you're going to be making a reservation in the future that will have similar characteristics, such as the same resource or attendees. In the upper right corner, you will see an option for Print. If you select the print icon, this will pull open another window which is set in a printer-friendly format in which you can easily print. You will then see an option for Email. If you select the Email button, this will pull up another window which contains a pre-populated email that you can easily send to all the attendees of your event. As you can see here, all of the attendees are listed in the To field. You can easily remove an attendee if you do not wish for them to receive the email by selecting their name and then clicking the Remove button. You can also change the text of the email confirmation. So for example, if I click within the body of the email, I can add additional space and I can type in a message to my attendees. You can proceed by clicking Submit. I'm going to go ahead and click the X to close out this window. It's also important to note that once you save the reservation, yourself as well as all the attendees will receive an automatic email confirmation. We will take a look at an example of the email confirmation a little later on in this session. The next option you see is the Download option. This option will allow you to download a VCS file which can then be imported into Outlook to create a calendar item for this request. However, the confirmation email that you receive will also contain the VCS file for the reservation. You will then see the Publish option. The publish option is not currently applicable and you do not need to do anything with it. The final two buttons you see on this screen are Save and Done and Cancel. Once you are ready to save your reservation, go ahead and click Save and Done. You will then be taken back to Resource Scheduler where you can see your reservation now listed. As I mentioned earlier, once you save a reservation, you will also receive a confirmation email. Let's take a look at an example of one. There are several pieces of important information found in the confirmation email. You can see details such as the date and time, as well as the resource. The email is also sent to all attendees, so for this particular event, both myself as well as Bob were sent the email because we were both the attendees on this particular reservation. You will also find a VCS file attached to the email which you can open and save to your Outlook calendar if you would like. Now let's go ahead and click the Home button to go back to the home page. Another method for creating reservations is to use the Reservation Wizard. To access the Reservation Wizard, we will want to click Reservation Wizard listed at the top of the screen. The Reservation Wizard is a helpful tool to use if you don't have a specific room or location on campus that you want to use, but instead you know the exact date or time or resource type that you would like to use for the reservation. So let's say that I knew I wanted to make a reservation for January 20th at 2 in the afternoon for a conference room, but I have no preference on what location or room that is used on campus. Using the Reservation Wizard, we can easily find a conference room that meets those needs. By default, in the Scope field, you will see UE Main Campus. You can go ahead and leave this set as UE Main Campus. In the drop-down menu below that, you will see all of the groups listed. If you had a particular group or building that you were interested in, you could select it from this drop-down. However, in this case, I would like to search all of campus, so I'm going to leave it set as all groups. In the Resource Type drop-down, you can specify the specific resource type that you're interested in. You can set it to all if you don't have a specific resource type. But for this example, let's say that I'm interested in a conference room. Underneath the capacity field, I can set in the number of people that this reservation has to account for. So let's say that this particular reservation needs to be for 20 people. In the capacity field, I'm going to type in 20. This way, the results will only display conference rooms that can accommodate for 20 or more people. You can then choose the desired date using the calendar icon. So I'm going to go ahead and choose January 20th. And then you can go ahead and select the start time. You will then want to select the end time of your event. By default, under recurring, the option for none will be selected. However, if this reservation was for an event that was going to be recurring, you could select one of the recurring options such as daily, weekly, or monthly. I'm then going to leave the checkbox selected for only available resources because I only want to see resources that are currently available. I will then click Next. Resource Scheduler will then display all of the resources on campus that meet the specifications that I selected on the previous screen. From this list, we can take a look at the resources and decide which one we would like to select. On the right-hand side, you will also see a grid-like view, which will show you that at 9 o'clock there are no reservations selected for the resources that are displayed on screen. To view additional information about the resources listed on screen, hover your mouse over the information icon, which is the eye listed to the left of the resource. This will show you additional information about that resource, such as the description, location, as well as the capacity. Once you have determined the resource that you wish to use, click the box listed to the far left next to the resource. You will then want to type in a reservation name, as well as choose the corresponding meeting type. If you click on the drop-down arrow next to meeting type, you will see the list of options in which you can select from. I'm going to leave it set to meetings. Then go ahead and click Submit. You will then be taken to the reservation confirmation screen. Before you click Finished, you will want to click on to the Details tab. By clicking on the Details tab, The reservation details window will appear. Earlier in this lesson, we learned all about the reservation details screen. If there are any additional fields that you need to change, please do so on this screen. That includes adding your attendees, adding information in the On Behalf of field, as well as selecting the Audiovisual or Resource Setup Needs field. If any additional changes are needed on this field, make those changes and then proceed by clicking Save and Done. You are then returned back to the reservation confirmation screen. From here, you can proceed by clicking Finished. You will also receive a confirmation email with the details for the reservation that you just made. You will then be taken back to the reservation wizard in case you would like to make another reservation. If you are done making reservations, you can go ahead and click the Home button to be taken back to the home page. Now that we're back on the home page, let's go ahead and talk about some of the various items displayed on screen. In the lower right-hand corner, you will notice the block for My Reservations. The My Reservations block will display any current reservations that you have. This is a convenient way for you to easily see any of the reservations that you have that are upcoming. From the My Reservations block, you can also delete a reservation. If you no longer need a reservation, you can select the delete icon to remove that reservation. You can also click on the name of the reservation to pull open the reservation, which will take you back to the reservation details screen. You can easily make any additional changes that you need to your reservation. If you don't need to make any changes, go ahead and click Cancel. On the home page, you will also see the My Favorites block. The My Favorites block is a helpful section where you can designate certain resources as your favorite. This will allow you to easily and conveniently schedule that particular resource. To add a resource as your favorite, the easiest way is to locate the resource in the navigation tree. So let's say that I wanted to add room 203 in the library as one of my favorite. Using the navigation tree, I'm going to select University Libraries, and then select the plus icon listed next to the second floor, and then I'm going to select the desired resource that I want to add to my favorites. At the bottom of the screen, you will see an option that says Add this to my favorite. We're going to want to select that option. Once you have done that, the resource has been added to your favorites. Now, let's go back to the home page. To do so, we'll want to click onto the Home icon. We can now see that particular resource listed underneath our favorites. The Favorite section will not only allow you to easily locate your favorites, it'll also display the availability of that favorite. There is a date displayed in the upper right-hand corner, and to the right of the resource will display its availability for that particular day. So this allows us to easily see our favorite resource and if it's available on a particular day. If we would like to make a reservation for this resource, all we need to do is go ahead and click on the name. This will pull open the navigation tree where you can easily make a reservation for that resource. Now let's go back to the home page. There are two additional items which are important to know about Resource Scheduler. Let's start with combos. If you would like to reserve a resource or a combination of resources in iCamp, we have preset combinations which can make it easier. In order to access these, we're going to use the navigation tree. We're going to want to drill into the navigation tree by clicking on Ridgeway Center and then clicking on Second Floor, and then we're going to click iCamp Hall Combos. If you only need to reserve one resource, such as room 251, you can go ahead and select 251. However, if there's a combination that you would like to reserve, you're going to want to click iCamp Hall Combos. Once you are ready to make your reservation, go ahead and select inside the desired cell. You will then be taken to the Quick Reserve menu, which we have seen a couple times in the training session. Several of the fields listed are the same fields that we have previously seen in other reservations. However, you will also see a couple of new fields. In the combination drop-down menu, you will see various combinations that are already set. So for example, you can choose one of the combinations that is listed at the bottom of this combination drop-down menu. You will also see a setup drop-down menu. From the setup, you can choose the specific setup in which is needed for your reservation. The remaining fields are all fields that we have previously talked about earlier in this session. Once you are ready to move to the next step, proceed by clicking Next. In this example, I'm going to go ahead and click the X to close out this reservation. Now let's talk about rooms that do require approval. We briefly mentioned this earlier in the session, but let's go through an example for a room that does require approval. Room 218, the President's Conference Room in Olmsted, is one room that does require approval. Let's say that we want to make a reservation for that particular resource. To do so, we would follow the same steps that we would for any resource. Click inside the cell for the time and date in which you want to request a reservation. Proceed by filling in the same fields that we discussed earlier. Once you have those fields filled out, proceed by clicking Next. The reservation details window will then appear. On the reservation details in the lower left corner, we can see that our reservation is pending approval. Similar to the other reservations that we have discussed, we want to go ahead and fill out any additional fields on this screen and then go ahead and click Save and Done. Your reservation request has now been submitted. Once the request has been approved or denied, you will receive a confirmation email letting you know the status of that request. Now let's talk a little bit about time limits. If you are attempting to make a reservation, but the system does not appear to be letting you do so, the first thing you might want to check are the time limits for that particular resource. So right now, I am viewing room 207 in the library, and I am looking at the date in the week of January 28th, 2016. However, as you can see in the grid, is that when I click into any of the cells, the system is not pulling up the Quick Reserve menu. You can also see that there is the plus icon missing from the cells. This indicates that I am not able to make a reservation. If you click on the name or hover over the name of the resource, and you can see the additional information about that resource. One of the fields will show you the time fence. So for this particular resource, I can see that the time fence is set to 6 months rolling. That means that you can only make reservations for 6 months out. And because January 28, 2016 is more than 6 months from today, I am not able to make a reservation. Most resources within Resource Scheduler are either set to 6 months or 1 year. The last thing that we're going to discuss is how to edit a reservation. So I'm going to go ahead and click back on the Home button to be taken back to the home page. There are several ways that you can locate a reservation to edit it. However, one of the most convenient ways is using the My Reservations block on the home page. By clicking the name of the reservation details window will appear. From this screen, we can edit several things on the reservation. If you needed to change the date or time from the reservation, you can easily do so using the time fields. If you need to change the date, you can select the date icon to choose your new date. You can also choose the new time from the time drop-down menu. If you need to choose a new resource, so for example, let's say that I no longer want to use room 203 Henry Schroeder Boardroom. Instead, I would like to use room 209 in the library. You could delete your reservation and create a new one. However, it would be easier to just edit your current reservation and use the new resource. So what you'll want to do is click on Resources in the upper right. This will open up a new window. You can click on the drop-down arrow next to UE Main Campus, and this will allow you to filter the results more closely to the room that you are interested in. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and choose University Libraries, and then click Show. This will show all of the resources available in the University Libraries group. I'm then going to click the checkbox next to the resource that I would like to schedule. And I can see from here that room 209 is actually not available. Only resources which are available will appear in this menu. So instead, I'm going to have to choose a new resource. I'm going to go ahead and choose room 168 and then click Submit. You will then be taken back to the reservation details screen. At this point, you can see that you have two resources on your reservation. We have room 168 as well as room 203. We then need to remove room 203 because we no longer wish to use that room. And to do so, I'm going to click the delete button. Once you have done so, you then just need to click Save and Done. You will then be taken back to the home page, and you can see in the reservations block that the resource was changed from 203 to 168. And there you go. That's everything you need to know with getting started on Resource Scheduler.